So, maybe you look at this and say for Furia being on the attack on a map like Bank, you're going to see them run away with that first half, Tim, but hopefully Heretics can show a little bit of something. They have played this map a few times this week. It hasn't been their best. They've won once on it and lost twice. So Furia have got a lot of recent tape to go on, which I think is why this makes a lot of sense as a pick for them.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the bans are going to be particularly interesting. Of course, our desk have spoken at length on both sides, really, about how the bans have been affecting Furia, particularly for Leapox. A lot of our popular bans, Monty, Grim, for example, are the operators that he plays as well, and we're seeing it have that knock-on effect onto his stats. And on the side of Heretics, they've spoken about that use of Dokkaebi, of Grim, of building intel, and it's going to be particularly important. They are going to be, looking towards that second half when they're on attack to be developing that kind of strategy, but we'll see, when we get there, how those bans come in. But Monty, Glaz, both big bans that kind of target Velipox in that, but target Furia in general. Yeah. This is their style of play.
The Glaz definitely, I'd say, more as a target ban than Monty. Yeah. Monty is like our most banned operator. Yeah. He's sitting at like a 60-65% ban rate right now, way ahead of anyone else. And I just think we've seen this real lean towards Monty. It's why you're seeing a lot of Blackbeard being brought out, which, Tim, funnily enough, is Furia's most played operator. The problem is that you ban away operators like these two, you do leave the Grim available. And Grim has been, I think, our second most picked attacker behind Dokkaebi. Yeah, we speak about Dokkaebi all the time. Crazy strong operator, but just behind that is the Grim. So you will see it throughout this game, no doubt. Already seeing hers jumping onto it in round one. And for Leapox, Tim is going for a little waddle through the garage, I think, here on the Nook.
Yeah, very possibly. We will keep an eye on Velipox, see exactly where he's going to push with that one. For anybody unfamiliar with Nock, of course, she's able to remove, kind of like Vigil, remove her visual signature from the cams, so can sneaky sneak in there without being seen. Any actions that she takes, like sprinting or shooting, things like that, then it will cause a bit of a glitching view on the camera. But obviously, it relies on somebody watching the cam. It relies on somebody seeing it. So a real opportunity for Velipox to maybe get himself into some difficult spots. I'm just having a look through the positioning of Heretics. They've got a number of players up here, outside, away from site, just looking to get active in the map, which I think is definitely the right way to play it. Bang! Flexi opens up with a big double, making 3, taking down a good portion of Furia.
Literally living up to the name there. It's a bit of a flex in round 1. 3 for himself, all in the same spot as well. Furia is giving a little bit too much time, but look at this, Tim. This is the problem. You can go big against Furia, but they can just do it right back to you. KZ on for 3. Got the track coming out as well. I imagine Flexi is going to be his target. They need him dead.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that Heretics have now both got themselves back to site. Flexi, Yupa, they know that they don't want to be losing another player out on the roam and ending up in that 2v1. So they've driven themselves back, but also the Deimos tracks are going to have caused that as well, because Flexi's thinking, get downstairs, there's not really much they can do. He knows that the Deimos is up above. There's not a lot of verticality here outside of the hatches, so it just creates that safety for him down inside of site. No Mute jammers, of course. Mute hasn't been played, so there'll be no way to get away from those Deimos tracks when they come.
I was going to say, they had 4 frags in back pockets. There's still a lot that they can do here to force Flexi and Yupa to move around. So far from the end of the world for Furia. They are, of course, at the disadvantage, having to push into the defensive setup here, but you still got 2 Deimos tracks left on side. You can't, of course, rely on that bulletproof camera inside of CC to see Velipox once he pops on that gadget. So still a lot that Furia can get away with.
Exactly that. And the game for Heretics here is recognising if and when that plant is going down, because that's your opportunity. It puts you in a 2v1. As it is, KZ's going down looking for kills, and I don't think they've got any idea here. He spins around the corner. Yupa manages to prevent the ace coming in and leaves us now in a 1v1. Velipox is low health as well, but so is Yupa. This is anybody's theirs.
What a round 1 it's proven to be so far. Yupa ready, just waiting for him to step on board. It's going to be Velipox trying to get the plant down. Yupa holding his position for now, forced to move away. Velipox a little bit scared. Tim Pros don't fake. Turns out he just might. Sprays it through the softball, doesn't quite find the man. He's got the right idea, Tim, but can't find him just yet. Diffuser down, and now Yupa's the one that's got to push. And Velipox, he just don't lose those, Tim.
He's just so good. Look, just no emotion, just stone cold focus. Absolutely brilliant first round from both teams. We have Flexi come in with a huge 3K. Heretics have already, after round 1, going to be asking, I think that's welcome to big school, that moment, isn't it? It's like you've come in with a 3K and we've still lost the round to Furia. Like, we're going to have to do something real special today.
They are, Tim, and I bet Flexi thought that special had been shown a lot in that starting point. Wonderful kickoff from the round from him, only for KZ to drop a 4K, because of course he would. Why wouldn't he?
A 3K in the first 50 seconds,
yeah,
and it wasn't special enough. That just gives them an idea of the size of the task that they're facing. Philippox, just absolute, look, just
stone cold killer. Look at him.
Just no, like 1v1, puts the case down, finds the kill. Like, so difficult. You got to feel for Yupa as well. He was doing the right things. He's opened the wall up. He can't quite see him, can't get the line. So close, but Furia take round 1.
I was going to touch on this as we came into the game, but it proved to be such an explosive round 1 that there are zero complaints from me. Flexi and Grubby, you know, despite the outcome they've had, where they've had these 2-1 wins, they've lost down in those 1-2 spots, they've of course won 2-0 as well. Both Flexi and Grubby are amongst our top 2 players rated in the whole tournament. And this is because you see them doing what you saw in the previous round. They like to be aggressive. They like to be disruptive. Against most teams, I've said this a lot over class in the last few days, when a team is really execute-focused are, which Furia often are. Nade has got the second highest number of plants at the whole tournament, just to kind of prove that point. Get up in their face, disrupt them in the early round. Don't let them actually go for an execute. So that's a good game plan for them both to take. The problem is you're against Furia, who are very good at any part of the game, it feels. So the work is cut out for Flexi and for Grubby to work a bit of magic.
Philippox is on the Ying here. Keep an eye on him again.
He'll play anything.
He will play anything. We've just seen how important he was in that last round. That was on the knock. This time he's going to be much more focused on, you know, being a part of that execute. You've got Nade on the sense as well. So this screams a window plant to me, given that we're up on the top floor. Philippox has now got himself onto the rappel as well. There's 3 of them there, but the big problem they need to deal with, I always talk about it, and I'm going to talk about it again, Des, it's Yupa inside of Janitor. He's got the mirror windows. He's the one. He's there to try and deny any plant attempt that's going to come in.
But now he's on a great spot as well on the mirror. Doug here inside of Janitor. As you say, that pressure's coming in from below, and it's KZ.
Brilliant.
Here's KZ looking for him.
Planted.
Because the plant is indeed going down, so they've managed to get in behind those light walls, behind the smokes, behind everything. And they've still got KZ below for cover in case anyone was down there with the C4. All 10 players are still standing, Tim, and the plant's been down for more than 5 seconds.
Absolutely brilliant from Furia. We'll speak more about this round once it's done. For now, let's focus on the retake from Heretics. They're looking to find any kills they can here. Flexi is going to take a bit of damage. The big problem they've got is Furia on the rappels for Philippox, JV, Nade, all one apiece, 5v2 in a heartbeat. This is not looking good as Herds manages to get Skeptic. It's a flawless round, and it is flawless, Des, in so many ways. Not just talking about man count, the strategy, the plan was perfect. JV goes in, opens the wall. He's there ready to go on the thermite. You got the sense, you got the smoke, you got the Ying all coming in. You've got KZ underneath on the book. He opens up Janitor floor. It was the key position. It was the linchpin of the defense. It was the one I'd pointed out. There's smoke off the mirror window, and he can't go back near it because he's got KZ on the book underneath, fighting with him. Brilliant stuff from Furia.
You said it yourself earlier, Tim. Welcome to big school.
It really is.
This is that rude awakening we all get. The thing is now, I'm about to say when we all step into year 7, the rude awakening you get, but around the world, year 7 probably won't mean all that much.
Probably not.
Very much a UK
The first year of secondary.
The first year of high school. So even secondary and high school, you've got to say what you mean there.
I'm covering all bases here, Des. So are Furia.
They absolutely are. It has been a pretty terrifying first couple of rounds.
Really
Again, for Heretics, it will be that constant question of what more can we do? We started so strong in round 1. We've absolutely been destroyed in round 2. Let's see how the third goes as we step into that offsite, the tertiary here, down in open and staff. And it's going to look a little bit similar to the previous round. That you've got players with the Janitor, players around this top floor, knowing full well that Furia are going to look for control on that top floor. That's why they've got JV on the ram, looking to rip those floorboards up, give them the verticals, and enable Philippox then to work a little bit of magic on the Blitz, of which, by the way, is his 3rd unique operator picked in 3 rounds.
Looking at how the Heretics get themselves into this game, how they're going going to face a rush here. They better be ready for this, I tell you now. KZ, he's going to detonate the exothermic. Straight in goes the blitz. They know where they're going. That's going to be the first kill, is it? The backup is there. KZ manages to find Grubby, and the blitz will continue pushing forward. Is there an opportunity to get the plant down? Not yet. Yupo does manage to find KZ. That might just put the stoppers on Furia a little bit. Philippox does still have the diffuser in hand. He's keen to put it down. You can see his movement, but he just hasn't committed to it just yet.
Making great use of the smokes as well, just in case there is a plant going down. It keeps on pulling them forwards, but Oscar has managed to get grenade. That is massive. The drop comes in, and off towards the right-hand side, there is one more waiting for Philippox. He managed to win out a 1v1, but can he do a 1v3, Tim? Might be a little bit of a tall order. Gets a couple of shots down onto his opposite man, but all three still stands. He's got a lot of time to work with, Tim, but this is rough.
Yeah, he could almost have a full round. He could go back outside. He could start droning. He could check out what's left. He's not going to get the opportunity. Skeptic takes him down. Great round from Heretics. And the reason unfortunately, Furia took my time away from it because they decided to just throw themselves into sight. But I was going to say, how do Heretics go about turning this around? You know, they've been knocked about a bit by Furia in those first couple of rounds, but how do they stop it? How do they put the stoppers on a side like Furia? And they've just found the answer there. The reality is, it's not even so much, I think, about what they do in the server. It's don't get rattled by Furia. Yes, they've come in and had two very good rounds. Heretics just need to play their game. That's the thing. They need to stay out of the heads. Don't let Furia into the, don't be thinking about what Furia are doing. Just focus on their own game. They've proven so far throughout the tournament that they are more than capable of getting wins, winning rounds, winning maps, and that's the focus for them, I think. And that's what they did in that round 3. You know, they've got Furia right up in their face, a rush with a blitz, smokes, all this going on, and they didn't panic. They weren't rattled, they got the round 1. Good stuff for Heretics, and it just gets them a little bit of a toehold in this matchup.
You guys all saw a second ago, we've had the Mira and the Sens taken away by the two teams respectively, which is interesting because we've only seen those two operators on that top floor site. We didn't see them on either of them on the other two sites, so a choice more towards what they've seen there. I think more fun Heretic side saying we don't really have an answer to that and we need to get rid now. Of course, as we all know, Warden does not give you the ability to see through those walls as he once did. Sen's got that little power bump a little bit last year, and Mira on the other side. This is a fun thing I was looking at in stats yesterday, looking at EPS per operator rather than just by player. And Mira has got like 10 clutch opportunities. Whoever's playing Mira has won 9 of them. Highest EPS of any operator in the game. We all know that she's strong, and by virtue of her gadget, she is, of course, powerful in that concept. But also thinking about things like the Vector and just how clutch she can be with it. No surprise that teams still turn towards it as a go-to ban.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of value there. I think in this situation as well, Furia recognising that they might not get away with clearing that mirror as easily as they did last time. KZ wandered in underneath, so once they're on top floor again, Heretics are going to play somebody underneath to stop that, to stop the buck. They're going to play, to avoid the smokes just cancelling out the mirror. They're going to factor all those things in, and I think Furia are thinking, you know what, we don't really want to have to bring a ton of utility to deal with it in a different way, so they take it away. But back into this round, we've got Nade marching forward on the Blackbeard. They are going for that top floor clearance. Last time around, Furia got stung when they were attacking onto basement by Flexi with a 3K. I think they got a little bit too aggressive moving in too quickly and were punished, and it happens again. Oscar picking up KZ. This is Furia recognising the strength of the roam that Heretics brought to this site last time around. Oscar on a triple this time. It was Flexi last time. Heretics are really putting Furia through it at the minute.
It is the second time, like you say, across these fights that we've seen a big challenge from Heretics in the early round. The scary thing is Furia knew where he was. Philippox at least getting that one back, because again, the pings just keep on coming through. They've been really good with their intel game in knowing where Oscar is, but Tim, this is the problem with a game like Siege. You can have all the intel in the world, you can have all these players circling around like sharks waiting to snap up their prey, but the prey can still bite back. 2 kills from Oscar, now down to, of course, 3. It's a big comeback here to stage Furia. Philippox, yet again, left in a 1vx. He's 3rd of the game, it's worth stressing. As I said last time round, he won out a 1v1. He couldn't win a 1v3, and he certainly cannot quite pull off a 1v4. Turns out, Tim, he is but human.
He is. He's still putting the numbers up. He's still putting the numbers up. Obviously, you know, the desk spoke about those bans and how they've been impacting his stats. It just goes to show the difficulty in playing against this Furia side. You know, you can try to kind of take Felipox out of the game a bit. You can try to impact the strategies that Furia are going to play, and they always seem to have an answer. They always have another way around. But right now, Heretics, I think, are doing a fantastic job of controlling Furia. The strength of that roam for the basement floor is brilliant to see. Heretics not afraid, not backing, and it plays into what I said again. Don't get rattled by Furia. Don't let the fact that it's Furia get into your head. It's just another game of Siege. Go and play your game. And that's what they're doing. They could easily have set up to Turtle on site. Let's not give them anything. Let's keep it tight. No, we're going to play Oscar. We're going to play Flexi. We're going to hold Open. We're going to hold our Archives. We're going to hold 2/3 of the map and take the fight to them. And I love that. It's not... I want to say it's kind of like almost a lack of respect. It's not a case of like disrespecting Furia, but it's saying, no, we're not going to play our game based on you. We're not giving you that level of respect. We're going to take the gunfights and we're going to win them. Brilliant stuff. I'm loving this from Heretics.
Well, more of the same here on this top floor, except of course with no mirror on side, they've got to change things away. Oscar's trying again to do some magic, Tim. The pain is, he's on the Warden. You can expect to see the Ying being brought along by the other side, as we've already seen throughout that first half, and that's the main operator that you need to be willing to fight that. You know, there is still an element where if you don't offer them enough respect, they will teach you something. a little bit. You'll learn one way or another. Now, without the mirror on side, what they've actually gone for instead is the bandits on the janitor wall. So they can still play a player inside. Their Youper's in that spot. Has got smoke holes opened up above the reinforcements itself, as well as, of course, the classic rotation that we see between this and the site itself. So in a spot where he can deny Tim, but as we've already seen last time round, getting a player in below can cause an awful lot of trouble. There is no book on side. I think Eyes instead are going to turn no doubt towards Felipox on that Blackbeard, which is Furia's most played operator at this tournament.
Yeah, he's coming in through ATMs. So what I think they're going to try to do here, Furia, is shape up to push up Metal and start putting a bit of pressure on from that side. It's Flexi in that position on the Aruna. Herds is actually just jumping in through Lawn Office window now. So he's going to team up with Felipox. They try to push and they create this pinch. So Flexi is now in a super important position, and it's not. That's a brilliant kill from Nade. That's all the way from the windows that he's managed to pick him up. Skeptic does get Herds, but Nade with the same angle. You can't keep giving them that same view through and fall into it. Heretics now 2 versus 4. Brilliant play from Nade on the window, and he's repelling in with Diffuser.
Ruby at least finds one. It's KZ going down. That means Square actually is now in control of Heretics, which means this side of the map isn't really for Fury to play on at this point. A little bit of comfort to be found, but Fury, they go, cool, we're in a 3 versus 1. Let's push on through, and I believe that's a 4K for Nade in the round. Really well played and a different game plan being taken. The thing is, I'll say here what I've said in a few streams this week, is it's very easy to look at that round and go, what the hell are Heretics doing? That was so stupid. They were taking so many fights and losing early round. What's going on? And the reason is, look at what happened last time when they sat still, Tim. Their plant went down. It was still 5 versus 5. They got battered for being static and sitting still. And so what was the saying back in round 1? Sometimes you've got to get out in the map and try and fight, and that's exactly what they tried to do. But you're doing it against Furia, a team that are all too wise and know how to deal with teams like this. It's going to be hard, but on the time that it does work, you look like absolute geniuses.
I love that 3-man play from Furia there. So you've got Herds comes in through Lawn Office.
Debate.
Yeah,
he was the bait.
You've got Herds through Lawn Office, you've got Felipox through ATM. They put a lot of pressure towards Metal, but are confident that, like you say, Des, all they're going to do is they're just going to suck players into that kill box for Nade. He's got the angle from the window. They know exactly where they're looking. He's going all the way through those double doors towards top Metal, and he manages to get himself to there, taking down both Flexi and Skeptic. Not only is that a nice work play to get those 2 kills to create that situation, it then has an added benefit that you've also then, in a man advantage situation, got Herds and Felipox walking up Metal stairs because there's nobody left to prevent it. So then they had pressure on from the Marble side. They can come round Banana. As it was, Nade just flew in and just went and killed everybody inside the side anyway. But just a really, really beautiful round of Siege from Furia. Look, both teams here are delivering. This is what I was hoping out of this game. They are both having passages of play where all 5 rounds have been won. None of these have been lost.
No, I do agree. It has been hard fought by both sides, I think it's fair to say. Furia so far giving us the result that we expected. To tell you what, didn't expect to find a player there as he opened up the window. It's KZ to get rid of Flexi in a bad spot and gets taken out pretty quickly. Yet again, Furia, just like lightning when they strike, anyone who's a foot out of line loses their life.
Skeptic and Oscar are now the two charged, tasked with holding on to this top floor. You've got Skeptic at top marble, Skeptic in Janitor, you've got Oscar at top marble. They're going to be now the next sticking point for Furia. The big question is, when do they choose to give up those positions? Really, they need Heretics need at least one of them escaping with their life. They can't have both of them dying up on the top floor. That will be catastrophic for the round. You put underneath though in Archives and Tellers could be a big one to help defend them, but no, Skeptic shows too much of himself and Nade cuts him down.
There's been this sort of like three-layer setup here for Heretics, which is really, really cool to see in terms of how they're supporting with the verticals on towards that white breach. They've got all sorts of things lined up here to make sure that they can hold comfortably and Yupa isn't going to get pressured. But as you've seen, they just lose one after another. Furia always find a way through. They haven't sat there and jumped on drones like, what do we do exactly now? They've always got an answer. Yupa, the last one left alive, and Felipox deletes him from the server. A 4-2 half for Furia, Tim. Dominant as we probably come to expect.
Furia, yeah, they really are, you know, giving them no quarter here. They are not sparing anything. They are giving them the full experience. You know, and look, that's one thing for Heretics at least, no matter which way this matchup goes. Let me tell you, the guys on Heretics will know at the end of the day, at least Furia gave us everything. Whether they beat them, whether they don't, they'll know that this all the full works, because right now, Furia are looking at their electric best. So, let's see what happens with these bans. We've spoken on the Des. Fox broke it down fantastically about how Heretics play the intel game, Des. They know everything that is going on towards the end of the round. That is the big part of the start of their round. Grim has been taken away. Heretics have played more Grim than anybody else. It hasn't been being banned against them. So that's Furia obviously looking into that and saying, here's what we're going to do. Dokabit is available, isn't picked up by Heretics yet. Maybe that will change. My concern for Heretics here, and something that we need to watch in line with that Fox was speaking about, is Bank is such a big map, Des. There's a lot of it to get your drones around. There's a lot of it to find that intel on. And if that's the plan for Heretics, they need to make sure that it doesn't burn too much time doing it. So my big question here is, A, do they continue playing that game whereby they're looking and gathering all this intel, or do we find it being curtailed a little bit? And then the other question is, if they do continue to play that intel game, which I think would be a very good idea, because otherwise Furia will punish you. If you play that intel game, do you still have the time you need to execute?
There's a lot of stall on the side of Furia for sure. And I'm really curious to see if Furia try and then match them around the map in the same way Heretics were trying to do to Furia when Furia, they were the ones attacking. I imagine you'll see a mix of being a little bit dug in a couple of rounds, being more aggressive in the majority of them, as that is how Furia like to be. They don't like to let their opponents breathe, certainly not on a map like this. And I've said it a few times whenever we've come to casting Furia on Bank. The first time I saw that OG roster, this like group, was actually on Bank. And I remember thinking when they were on the attacking side, I was like, my God, it feels like you're against 10 players. It feels like they're coming out of the wall. It might not always be their top rated or top preferred map, but they're always terrifying on it. And sure enough, well, it's going to punish him. Tim, down goes Yupa. They had no idea he was there.
And there is the intel game question. Bank is a huge map, so you start having to... I don't say this in a negative way, you have to cut corners a little bit. You can't necessarily check every single corner of every single room because you have that time factor starts becoming an issue. And this was my concern for Heretics, that they play into that intel game but can't quite 100% it because of the size of the map, and it starts causing them problems. It has done there. They lose the entry, they lose the class as well. It's going to be a big part of holding down site whilst the plant went down.
Compare that to what you might have seen from Furia back in that first half. They've known a player was inside of the room there, had a player in below on Printer waiting to catch him out, two players pushing into him to force the drop, and then they collected the kill. But because Heretics were blindsided by Hertz, they had no time to get there. He knew how long he could play before his time would be up and someone would be underneath. So he's played that brilliantly well. Gets the glass, gets out of danger, gets back in towards sight. What more can you ask for?
Just waiting for the hatches to be opened.
Usual dance.
Yeah, the Tiberow of JV92 just holding them close with the Zoto canisters for the time being. I like actually doing both hatches at the same time because it kind of creates a situation like this where you end up getting them open because you get them open quicker as well because you've got a Zoto canister on each and you can't focus on one. So good stuff from Heretics to tick the boxes and get those opened up. They are applying a little bit of pressure everywhere here. I actually like this view towards Vault, but we can see that Furia are rotating around it pretty nicely down inside. JV's gone to play underneath the Vault. We've got Nade there as well to support him. Brilliant stuff again defensively from Furia, just showing a great command of this side. KZ manages to pick up Plexi, and you got to stay in a 2v5, 30 seconds left to go. It's not looking good for Heretics.
This is again where you're really going to see the difference between the two teams starting to widen up. I think Furia just know when they can take gunfights. They know when they get away with certain challenges. And they're just taking Heretics apart one piece at a time, like stripping a car for all of its valuable pieces. So for Heretics, there's a lesson, Tim. Got to change things around next time around. Maybe more pushing in as a team rather than trying to split and control a lot of the map. Completely appreciate Bank is massive. There is a lot to cover, but they've been stung by not having any drones and then chased a shadow throughout the entire map. It just wasn't pretty for a first attacking round.
Been a Cinderella story for Heretics so far, Des, but I think we might have found the villain in this fairy tale at long last. And it is definitely Furia right now, and I think they are more than happy to play the part. They are coming in here and spoiling the party for Heretics because they just look absolutely electric. You know, Anne mentioned this, you know, Furia sort of decided who they were going to play on the toss of a coin because they've chosen before and they've always lost the game, so it didn't really matter, whatever, we'll play anybody. It was a choice between SSG and Heretics that I believe they had, and honestly, I can see why Furia would sit there like this and think, you know what, we don't care who we play, you just put somebody in front of us because they're looking phenomenal at the moment. Today.
I don't want to start speaking too early about this, but I'm probably going to have... However...
They're lifting the hammer!
Not quite, no. The winner of this game, as we know, goes on to play Weibo later. The loser goes on to play OXG in the lower bracket. Now, we cast OXG today, Tim. They've actually started really warming up, I feel, as the tournament has gone by. And they managed to get away with the 1 point prior to their final game, after which they won quite comfortably, and of course, managed to qualify in 4th place, which means they start out in the lower bracket. I'm not saying it's Heretics playing them yet, Tim. It's a bit soon, maybe. We know what Heretics are like. We're coming back to win second maps in their series. However, I'll finally say it for you, Tim. Furia are that team. They're going to be really hard to beat, as we keep on remarking on. And even here, they're just ready for everything coming against them. Knicks are throwing away on the Moz here. They're even checking outside the window. Who's out there and Rebel? What's going on? So cheeky.
We've seen some great clash play from Nade through the tournament as well. I think it would be an easy one to overlook. You know, we often look at that operator and you kind of think, you know, teams are scratching for a round, they'll bring along the clash. But no, not at all. It is very much a part of the locker. You know, one of the tools that Furia will employ, and Nade does a phenomenal job of playing that clash. We've seen some real special rounds from him, so keep an eye on him. He's tasked with holding on to kind of janitor top square at the minute, but JV's going to have a wander down. They could well be punished here if they are aware. They're definitely aware. So that's the intel game. You've just seen it firsthand there. Heretics, they were on those rappels. As soon as JV goes down for a look, bosh, they just drop down to the ground. They knew that was coming. Really nice from Heretics.
Yeah, thank God they were aware. Could have been a horrible double kill being set up otherwise. You can already see now how low they're having to play. Would have looked some pressure there, but no, JV's worked his way back upstairs. Everyone on the second floor expecting Heretics to pull something off because they have got all this utility to play with, Tim, but so far it hasn't been used. Now it's coming out. This is their time to step on forward, but Skeptic's gone down, Tim. The last player you want to lose here on the blitz, at least to get rid of KZ on the other side.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a push coming in from the other side. They've actually come in through the windows and decided to just flush sight. They are winning one gunfight after another. It leaves JV92 in a 1v2 effectively.
Janitor is hilarious right now, Tim.
Someone's in the blood. Might say 1v5 on the top, but it's effectively 1v3. They get Skeptic back up on his feet. I think it's a good choice, actually, get the shield out of all of them that were downed. Oscar manages to pick up JV at the end there. That was a little bit of a chaotic round coming in from Heretics, but I like it. Again, it shows their willingness to say, you know what, we're not going to respect you too much here. If you've given us a bit of space, we're coming in, we're going to take gunfights. They're just all repelled in. They recognise what they were doing. We're trying to get the diffuser down, wasn't working, so it was a quick adaptation. Let's just rush them and go for kills. I like it. They played around the back of Nade. The clash was causing the problem for the blitz from top square, so we play in behind him through Janitor. Good stuff.
What I really liked about it was for the first, minute and a half of that, Furia were trying everything to disrupt them. Down to putting a drone up on the windowsill and seeing who's outside to maybe threaten a jump out. Unlikely, but something that would have been in the back of Heretics' mind. Had a player going into lobby because they realized, okay, if they aren't going to hit us, we're going to try and hit them, but they still hadn't answered to that as well. Everything Furia were trying to do to upset them so they couldn't execute, they just couldn't get away with it. I'd love to hear the team comms back because I can only imagine Heretics comms at some point. They say, guys, we've got to go. They keep on trying to find us here. The C4's waiting for us, you name it. Let's go now. Well, they're not all fully ready for it, and obviously did catch Furia off guard. So a really good attack. Still a 2-round deficit to catch, Tim. It's that infamous round 9 that we love speaking about. Why is it so important to us? You tell me.
It depends on the score when we get there, but in this case, at a 5-3, it is, I think, at its most valuable is round 9. You know, if you're sort of 6-2, then you're already way ahead. If it's 4-4, it's everybody's to fight for. But in this case, it gives us the difference between a 6-3 scoreline and a 5-4 scoreline. And if you're Heretics particularly, believe me, there is an ocean of difference between those two things. If they can get back within one round, it feels doable. At 6-3, you look at Furia on bank and you say they're going to grab a round somewhere, almost certainly. So, big one. And it does not start out in Heretics' favour. Look at this aggression. Herds does manage to get the opener. Flexi takes him down. KZ's going to back out of that fight a little bit. He was keen to have a little bit of a look out of electrical there, but, you know, he decides he doesn't want to be losing his life. Let's not throw it away. Kind of all square after that opening engagement.
It is, but it comes back to exactly what I was saying in the previous round. Furia, every single round, are looking to get aggressive and up in their face. I thought you might see 1 or 2, but they do just tank down a bit and play off angles and play off utility. But they're showing there's no need to, Tim. They feel so confident against Heretics that KZ especially is so willing every single round to be somewhere, challenging them and looking to get up in their face, and he's doing a wonderful job of it.
Yeah, exactly that. Furia playing, you know, like the big boys, they know that they are, you know, the former world champion. They've won absolutely everything. They're not going to come in and give anybody any breathing space. Yupa is just going to be holding that line of sight through the smokes, into sight for the time being, hoping to just pick up a cheap one if he can as somebody moves across there.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Just wanting to punish them. In goes the blitz. They're now going to get aggressive and try to move into a position to plant, but KZ is the one to punish Skeptic. Yupa goes around the corner, but Nade, he's got his teammate. KZ will be down. He is collectible. The glass is gone. Furia looking good.
A little bit easy this one, I'm afraid. You had every single player of Heretics stacked up around square and looking to force their way in through this doorway. It's meant Nade hasn't had to move at all. He's had support from Long, from JV. You've even still here got Felipox looking to pull off a little bit of a flank on the Mozzie. Yes, it's a 1v3 for Groovy. A lot to ask of one player, I'm afraid. Tim and Furia were just ready for everything Heretics brought this round.
Unquestionable that Nade is one of the smartest players in the world. He's absolutely phenomenal. I'll come back to that in a second. 4 versus 1 as Groovy continues fighting from above. He manages to bring it back to a 1v3, but the chip damage will start to add up. He's challenged on the top floor. JV92 with the kill, and Furia win the big round 9. Puts them 6-3 and 1 round away. I just want to come back to Nade there. We didn't quite see it, Des, but you had KZ down just inside the doorway, in the spot, kind of hard back on yourself as you come in. Yupa had managed to down him with the glass. Nade was playing in behind the bomb chassis, and you look at that situation and you think, KZ's collectible here. He's in behind a reinforcement. There's a hard wall to the side. They've killed 3 of them. You know, he's definitely collectible. But Nade, he's switched on, and he can hear Flexi on the other side of that reinforcement. And Flexi, quite rightly, is looking in. He comes to have a look through where they've opened the soft wall to look into lower square. He comes in to have a look to see if he can get the angle onto KZ. Nade knows that this is coming, so he just hangs back and he takes the kill. There it is. He takes the kill onto Flexi. He knows it's coming. He baits his teammate for it perfectly and then goes and gets the collection anyway. Just, honestly, beautiful stuff. I know these are small things, but Nade is just, he makes the right choice almost every single time, and it's just brilliant.
Well, as our bans have come on through, Tim, they're towards 2 operators that we have seen played in every single round this half. The Glass coming away from Heretics and Kaid away from Furia. Almost a challenge for Furia to say, okay, show us else what you've got. You've tried a bit of cheesy, you've tried playing with your glads every single round. Show us else what you can do. And their answer is to go towards one of those operators we spoke about a lot, Tim. It's Skeptic onto the Monty. Robbie's going to jump onto the Deimos. One thing that is surprising me somewhat, Tim, is no Dockerby. We've spoken a lot about how proficient she is as an operator and how big a map bank is. We've seen how much damage Romans have been doing, how aggressive both teams have gone. Neither team really kind of saying, yeah, let's bring the Dockerby and deal with that. They seem quite content without it.
And, you know, I agree with you. I think Bank is, any map is a perfect map for some Dockerby, to be honest, but Bank is perfect for it. You know, if you're going to have players out in the map, which we do, JV's in Tellers, we've got Herds in Staff, you know, we've got KZ up on top floor. They're absolutely everywhere. They're all over this map, so dealing with those roamers is really important. Last time around, Furia managed this site really, really well, so they started as they have now, spread across the map. They dipped back into site at about the halfway mark, and they recognised exactly where the pressure was coming from Heretics. JV managing to get a kill up the vault hatch, for example, just recognising where they were going to be. Oscar does manage to track down one of those roamers, finds the opener onto JV92, but they need to think about what's happening down here in server. KZ, he manages to get Oscar in the trade as well. That's the ace gone. So that is the hard breach apart from Skeptic, and Skeptic's down in server, and he's in trouble, Des.
Just look at this.
Big trouble.
Spin Skeptic, become a Beyblade, my son. Can't hold on long enough, knifed out in the end, and he was just left for dead there inside a server. Furia yet again showing and bearing their fangs. The aggression has been unreal, but Flexi, same as he was back in round one, is coming up big for his team, Tim.
And more importantly, Yupa somehow has managed to get a quiet drop and into red. He's stood in gold bars at the minute, just holding angles, and I'm not sure whether Furia are aware of that, because it was Flexi from server who got both of the kills. KC gets one, but they didn't know about Yupa. He comes around and gets the trade, and now finds himself in a 1v1, but look who he's against. I came into the round saying how big brain he can be. He always makes the right choices, but not this time. Yupa is the one to find the kill, and Heretics keep on fighting.
What a crazy round that has turned into, Tim. It's more the same of what we were speaking about. The aggression back and forth has been absolutely balmy. Pushing that hard into a Monty like that, very rarely will you see that done at the top level. But of course, Furia are going to pull that out. In for attack timeout from Furia.
Eu quero que a gente jogue pegando os drones, mas eu quero fazer a LA 3.0. Vamos aproveitar que a Clash tá open, aproveitar do nosso ban. A Ing talvez possa atrapalhar lá um pouco, só que a gente faz aquele setup cruzadinho. Eu quero um cara no Ourinho e eu quero um cara dentro do SBT, vocês peitando com o cara da garagem. A gente vai estar cruzado forte, muito bom, tá ligado? E aí a gente pode reforçar os alçapão tudo também, que eles não estão pegando muito ribana, eles pegam mais boneco de cozinho. Certeza que eles não vão conseguir abrir os alçapão tudo, eles não vão ter opção de splitar, eles só vão vir pela frente ali na gente, tá ligado? Aí você joga ganhando um tempo ali no server, abre o sapão, você volta e pega a tua posição, tá ligado, Box? E a gente joga cruzado um pouco. Então capricha, não precisa de nada, só pega a tua trap, o Fenrir mesmo, tá ligado?
O dos
então,
bonecos bombe rápido deles.
Só caprichar no drone é pegar os drones ali.
You go with some words of wisdom there, Tim, because there's 2 rounds for Furia to get this one done. They've played this very aggressive game so far that it sort of feels like Heretics have begun to adapt to here. They've figured out what's going on in the game. And we spoke about this in one of our games of the day. I want to say it was actually Furia's game on Fortress, where we had in a push in towards office and bathroom, a push coming up through dorms and games, and there was a shield on the doorway that posed real problems for them in towards briefing. The next time we came back to that site, C4s from below, pre-placed, it's worth stressing, to get rid of a shield and remove that threat entirely. It was beautiful mid-game adaptation. I feel like Heretics have begun to do the same here. They've kind of got Furia figured out, which is why Igor, I think, wants to step in and say, right, how do we get this over the line here and now? We need to have this done. We cannot let Heretics keep on building in confidence.
I think we've just got a little bit of a tech pause coming in, so we'll get everybody out and back into the lobby and we'll be underway. Plenty to talk about with this one, though. As you say, there's, you know, both sides, I think, delivering some top-level siege here. It's been an absolutely brilliant game to watch. You know, coming into this, you kind of, you have to weigh things in the favour of Furia, and it still sits that way as it is at the minute. But I love that Heretics are just not giving them that respect. They're not giving them that space. They are quite happy to go in there and say, you want to play aggressive, you want to take 2 two big 2v2, 3v3 gunfights and these big, you know, brawls, we're down. We're going to come in and we're going to fight them with you. And quite often they are coming out on top. So brilliant stuff from Heretics at the minute. I think, you know, we're clearly seeing a team that, you know, I'm sure they'd love to go and win the tournament, but to them, they've got here. It's like you feel like they kind of already won. You know, everything's a bonus, isn't it? You know, every round that they get, every match win, all the support that they get, and it's all that bonus. It's all that next step, and they play in kind of like there's no pressure there, and I think that's great.
You look back on day one when they won their game. You know, Oscar had an interview with Milos, and he was saying on there, it's such a different environment. Like as a tier 2 team coming into SI, the greatest tier 1 event you can possibly come to. It's like it's so different to playing in your bedroom at home. Like there's lots of noise around. You can fist bump each other. For a lot of these guys, it's not just their first time, obviously, at a big tier 1 thing, but to play together on LAN itself is such a massive step up. And we saw the shakes a little bit in the first map of day 1. Since then, I feel like they've really settled into themselves, and that is why they're here, playing against former world champions, Tim, and putting on a pretty good show, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, like I said, they're just, you know, I think they're handling it fantastically. They seem to be playing kind of without that pressure, and that's what you need, you know.
What was that big stat, by the way? Was it like Grubby hadn't won a map at an SI prior to coming here, and then they've obviously come on and won quite a few?
Can't stop. Can't stop winning.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Still a chance that they win this one. 6-4 at the minute. I believe we are going to be going back in a second, but we'll just get the game loaded up and make sure everything is nice and smooth and crisp and functional before we take you back across there. But don't worry, it is on the way. 6-4 it stands. If you're joining us, it is map 1, Bank Furia versus Heretics. This is an upper bracket game, so whoever loses this one will have another chance. They will have another game to play down in that lower bracket. I believe you said it was against OXG Des. So that is who the loser will face. The winner will go on to face Weibo later on today.
And the winner of that game, Tim, makes it to main stage.
Yep.
You'd already know in just a few hours' time who our first team is playing in front of that crowd in just a few days' time. Or I'll tell you what, I'm already just sat here thinking about the opening theme. We all love every single time you go out there and you just hear the SI
I was going to try
theme.
to do the first few notes then, but I just know it'll go wrong. I'm not going to butcher it. You can all wait until that.
You love a sing-song, though.
I know
You love
I do.
singing. Every time I see you in the green room, you're just there singing something or other.
I know.
Normally it's a song from the
Attackers have
60s,
located a bomb.
because that's what you grew up with. Give it a
Oh, I'm out here catching strays already. It's too early for this. 6-4, we go then into round 11.
10 seconds left
Furia,
before insertion.
interestingly, they're going to try down in the basement again. I think they know that last
5
round was just
seconds
absolute
remaining.
chaos. You know, that's not how I think maybe either team expected that round to play out.
Attackers are
So
moving
Furia
to
coming
the
back
bomb.
in thinking, you know, let's play to the game plan. Let's get this done. Interestingly, last time around they had 3 players out on the roam. I want to see what they do with that this time. So JV was playing up on first floor. That's not the case this time. He's downstairs. We've got Velipox up on the clash, and we've got Hertz has actually returned as well. So this is quite different. Nade is up there to support Velipox, but other than that, he's ready for a hatch drop. So he's dropped back down there. If they could just stay put, that'd be fantastic. Thank you, Furia. Look, they've got 1 player pretty much. JV's gone upstairs. 2 players are going to be playing on first floor. They've got me in it is, let alone Heretics. You know, they've just been cycling so much there. But they've got 2 players up on the first floor. That's what the roam is restricted to this time. Last time they had 1 up on top floor. They had 2 on mid floor. They only had 1 really strictly in sight. The other was up in goal. So, you know, they're playing this a bit safer for Furia.
I did say back at the start of the half, I thought we'd see a couple of like more entrenched rounds where they really dig in and try and play off utility and play off each other, as we've seen them do on the attacking side. Really good with their 3-way crossfires at multiple points throughout this game. That's what they've gone for, and that probably was Eagle's call, was to slow things down here. Let's see if we can run the clock down as best we can, and then watch Heretics struggle. They're almost trying to play off Heretics' inexperience here and how to deal with breaking down a tough team.
JV is going to pick up Grubbit, and that's going to be the opener. 5 versus 4 for Furia, and now on that is the signal. Everybody's back to site now. Everybody's back to site. We've got the opening kill. You know, we've won that. Now just let them play the round, and Furia are confident that they're going to be able to absorb that pressure. So let's see how it goes. Heretics have got plenty of time to be able to play into that intel game that we know they love. You know, they should be able to get a really good picture of what's going on inside. Where's the execute going to come from? How are they going to create that space?
Skeptic on the shield again. We saw him on the blitz earlier on, of course. Really, he is the linchpin in this attack, as Amonte often is. He's got the diffuser in back pocket. He's the one who can take ground relatively comfortably. But again, Tim, it's the stall factor that starts to make me nervous. We've got 16 Shumikers left. We've got all 3 smokes to sit behind. No doubt they haven't managed to get rid of all those Goyos yet with no Twitch being on side. And we're down to the last 45. Heretics are going to have to work a bit of magic here, Tim. Really kind of channel that underdog energy if they're going to come out on top, because they are most certainly the underdogs in this round. Here comes some of the Candelas from Flexi, at least getting in towards the spot here. Out go the light screens as well. Final 30 seconds as they ring out. Skeptic's got to be looking to go in. Instead going to drop in. Instead using this as a bit of a bait, but no. Off goes the FNAT. They know where the shield is now, Tim. You've seen the shots coming on through. Down goes Flexi. JV's gone absolutely nuclear, Tim. Found 3. Oscar getting one back, but he's got to win a 1v2 with just 15 seconds to go. Steps in, almost gets rid of Hertz, but no, just about falls. Turns around for the 1. Can he spin for the left? Has no idea where he is though, Tim. He's got to chase him unless there's a call from his team. They've seen the ping come on through, but he's got to try and go. No, he'll try and make a plan happen, but KZ, Tim, I doubt he's going to lose this one out. They'll know where this is coming in. He sees the light screen. Can he get off in time? That is heartbreak. A couple of 100 milliseconds was what separated them, but Furia will take map 1, 7-4.
Brilliant response from Furia there, all down to that tack timeout, I think. Ego are recognising the weaknesses in Heretics. I think we've had the translation from Maria. He picked up that they weren't playing Hibana, said let's play around those hatches, close them off, make life difficult, make them do the work, and it paid dividends. What a fantastic turnaround for Furia there. Great tack timeout, gets it over the line.
But we'll say, Tim, there were some close rounds in there, more 1v1s than Furia would have wanted, so this series is anything but over. Clubhouse coming up after a short break.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here at the Telestrator. I want to talk about round 2. I mean, this was a 7-4 series for Furia. It was a great map, but overall, yeah, I want to focus on round 2. Now, fact of the matter is, like I said, you can ban out Felipox, you can get rid of these operators, but you can't ban the brain because they had a very simple execute step-by-step on how they were going to get CEO. The first step is they were going to use the projectors to block off any of the line of sight from CEO. Second step, they are going to buck out Upor to apply that ghost pressure. He can't play off the mirror, can't play off the rotate hole. Step 3 and 4 is they are going to open up the CEO wall, go for a plant inside the smoke, and step 5, the Ying Candelas are going to go into long desk to apply any bit of pressure to stop anything from thwarting off this plant. And as you can clearly see with every step-by-step, the pressure is being applied, the wall's open, the Candelas are popping. There is nothing on the side of Heretics that they can do to stop this diffuser from being planted. And the beauty of the diffuser being planted here is the simple fact that everyone on the side of Furia can just now play safe. Their offense now turns into a defense. All of Heretics has to play aggressive. They have to go for trades. They have to try to be able to stop this diffuse and get the diffuser off. But the fact of the matter is, you have every single player playing safe. Herds is outside, Felipox is outside, JV92 dropped down, KZ is playing in archives. You can't see Nade, but he rotated to the skylight to add a little bit of layer and pressure to make sure that this diffuser is going to go down no matter what, and it's going to seal the deal, and KZ's a little bit of a fail safe from there. And it really just plays out, like I said, everything from the side of Heretics. They can't manage to fight their way through this. It's just slaughter after slaughter, death after death. There's nothing that they can do outside of accepting the fact that they were going to lose this round. But more on the information game, as you can clearly see, they had an echo, they lacked the information, but Fox has a lot more on the information from the side of Heretics.
The information was the downfall for Heretics. They didn't really run it too much, and when they did, like that Echo in that round lax, they did not use it. They brought Valk another round, and that was a round they won, and then they stopped bringing Valk altogether. And on the attacks was the biggest issue, because Furia actually banned out the Grim, forcing Heretics to have to adjust to having no information. Look at this beautiful setup for them. They have everything they need for a direct take, but there's no information, there's no Grim, there's no Doke to be able to pint out this 3-man crossfire from Furia that is locked down in this site. And what does Heretics do? They decide to do it anyway, to push through the site with the Blitz, despite not having any information, and it doesn't work out. They go for the rush into the site after all of the smokes have been used up, out of all of the fires have been used up, and the crossfire just takes apart everybody from Heretics. The onslaught comes in, and that's good preparation from Furia. Understanding the info game was Heretics' strong suit. They take it off the board, and what does Heretics have? They have brute force pushes that don't work out in this 3-man crossfire. Beautifully played from Furia, and we put a lot of pressure on Felipox being banned out. Teams are going to look at him, but he's the brains behind this whole operation. It doesn't matter what the bans are. He's able to facilitate everything, the attacks, the defenses. Heretics did not have a response, and the information game is exactly where they lacked, and it's exactly where they fell short.
Yeah, that's something we mentioned, right? I mean, they play off that information, especially on the attacks a lot, but if they get banned out, in this case, it seemed like it was very difficult for Heretics. I mean, they do lose the first map quite often, and it turns out that is the case here once again. We're going into Clubhouse after this. I mean, we already talked about Bang being a risky pick. Clubhouse, what are things looking like for these two teams?
I mean, I thought Bank was going to be favorable for a more defensive-sided team, but they didn't use the information. They tried denial operators. Clubhouse is not the same map that you can do that on. You can't focus on denial. You have to be able to crutch on that utility. If you're Heretics, you have to go back to the basics and understand we need more information. We need to understand where Furia is coming from, because if we just let Furia have whatever they want with no information, they're going to be able to get their picks. They're going to be able to go for the main execute. That's not where Heretics' strong suit is fighting back on that initial entry.
I think despite losing 7-4, I think it really was a good showing still from the side of Heretics. I thought they were playing really well. Ace and Dez mentioned that they were getting aggressive. They were willing to take those 3v3s, those 2v2s. So I think it's important to note that, because Clubhouse is a very small map. It's very constrictive in how you're going to play it. So if they can play off of each other, as you're saying, just adding a little layer and more depth in terms of information, I think they could possibly push this to a map 3, oddly enough.
Well, the pressure of a potential lower bracket is looming over the shoulders of Heretics. Can they bounce back in this series? We're going to find out.
Indeed, thank you very much, Anne. And this is one for the books. I think Heretics have shown they can give a little bit of fight on Bank, but now they've really got to do the business on Club, and I don't think it's going to be an easy one, Tim. It's Furia's map pick. I'm feeling a little bit worried for Heretics, but hopefully, given they start on the defense, they can give us a good showing to get this one moving.
Yeah, I think Bank was their real opportunity, wasn't it? That was the one that they needed to take, but they couldn't quite get it done, so they'll head to Clubhouse, see if they can survive, Des.
Shall indeed, Tim. Of course, operator bans, we'll see what comes out of this one. We've already heard the Des speaking an awful lot about, the Grim, the Glass being taken away. They also noted just a second ago about that same lack of Dockerby that I really thought we'd see both teams bring. And we were speaking about it during the break, and I was like, Is that actually both sides saying, you know what, actually no, stay on the road. We'll come and kill you. It's not going to be to scare you back towards site. We don't want to give you any indication that we're even. Come in. Maybe we see it a little bit on Club, but here the bans are going to be, I imagine, a Bandit and Kai to kick things off, and on the other side, a Thermite that is very much becoming a staple ban on this map, Tim, now that the Thermite has 3 exothermics. And Capitao, I don't think needs too much introduction. The DMR has made him even more powerful, but on this map was already receiving a good number of bans because of the attack that you can do with him on towards Catwalk. It makes it much harder to do without him on side.
Yeah, I totally agree. The catwalk being a particularly important area, but I think also there's maybe another Capitao moment, or an area that he can deal with that we overlook a little bit sometimes, and that's that corner down in Arsenal. You know, the Azami corner, just inside a dirt tunnel that players love to get themselves a little fortress built of Kiba barricades. If you
we're on Clubhouse, Tim, not fortress.
Good one. If you get your Capitao down into blue, you can get those asphyxiation arrows into that corner. You can block the line of sight on the door with the smoke. There's a lot that can be done with the Capitao to deal with, a number of positions around the map. So like you say, super valuable, and that's why we see such a high ban rate for Capitao, particularly here on Clubhouse. And the 3 exothermics, it's no surprise that it matches up with the fact that there's 3 walls you want to breach up on that top floor. You've got CCTV wall, you've got construction wall, you've got jacuzzi wall. If you can get all of those wide open with those nice, really big something holes, it does you a lot of good on the attack.
Can indeed. An interesting spot there for a second when we had Skeptic on the warden who was laid down inside the bedroom. I think he was looking for drones inside the bar the whole time, but doing it so from above, so that he was able to stay upstairs for the majority of it. Just a really interesting little start to see how the round played out. But hey, it's a little bit of stall they can play behind, of course, with Tuber out here, even without the Kaid, still able to keep these walls locked up for a little bit longer. Shock horror, Tim. It's going to be an extended hold out towards the east of Cash and CC, and that is what the Tuber is being used to slow down. But I'm sure Furia has seen this a million times over by now, Tim, while JV focuses on getting that one opened up. This team will do the business over towards Jacuzzi side of things, opening up the other key wall they need. They've also got single VIP open, so already a lot of the hard yards been done by the side of Furia.
Yeah, Flex's auto canisters are just slowing things down a little bit on that CCTV side. So for the time being, Furia will take the opportunity to send in the Reteros. Can't really decide where that one's going to go. I think just having, using those seconds to get a little bit of intel as well. And I like that, using that multiple functionality of the gadget. Just try and get yourself every little bit out of it and then get it into position to take that Vulcan canister down, which it does. CCTV wall will finally be open. That's going to lock Flex it inside of Cash, or he can drop back, of course, through construction to site. He's just kind of rotating between there and top red at the minute, and is going to be supported by Grubby up there. They are going to be coming under some pressure fairly soon, I would have thought. Here it comes around the corner. JV looking to push in with the Hibana. Drone goes ahead of him as well. They know that Grubby's in position, but it's Flex there. Absolute beauty. Look at the aggression. They've just spoken about it on the desk. Heretics willing to take the fights. They open up Cash wall. Does that force Flexi out? No. It gives him a window to find his kills.
But saying that, you've got Philippox and Hertz both pushing in towards construction here, and Hertz has just walked in towards site and got one for free. So while the extended hold is being broken and attacked by the side of Furia, they're also hitting site, Tim. They're trying to keep Heretics distracted.
They know that Grubby is stuck top red. He's got 2 choices, fight through them or work underneath. So they've decided to push into site. They've got Oscar pinched and taken him down, so it's all up to Grubby. He chooses to fight rather than to rotate. He manages to find the first, taking down Philippox, but Diffuser will be planted. Nade finds that final kill, and that is going to be round closed out for Furia. That was a textbook pinch from them. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
We know that Furia are a confident team, but I really want to highlight what they've just done in that round. In trying to break open the extended hold, they've had 2 players pushing towards construction as others pushing towards the breach. That is so rare. At most, what you'll see is a player holding a construction window in case players try and retreat. Maybe, and we've seen this from Furia, Herds will drop on towards gym window and get a 3K from there like he did the other day. But I've never really seen players hit site at the same time the extended hold is being broken. That just screams to the confidence that Herds had in his teammates to make sure that extended hold was dealt with and no one will come up behind him. Because he walks into site and just kills a player for free. They've got sight, they've rushed inside, get the plant down. What more is there to say? They've almost done 2 phases of the round at once. And so often do we talk about Clubhouse being a checklist map. You break the extended hold, you get control of construction, you have a player inside a lodgy, you get jacuzzi opened up, you do this. Tick, 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 tick. they've cheated a little bit and done two things at once there, and it has caught the other side off guard. Really smart round from Furia. They go up 1-0 on the attack.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Okay then, heading into round 2, and you just start to get a little bit worried for Heretics now with the way that first round played out and how clinical Furia were. This is their map choice. This is a map that they are phenomenal on. I think that they are going to continue to show us that. If it does end 2-0, I'm not saying that it will do. Heretics have certainly got the capability to pack back into this. It'll be a little bit, I don't think it'll tell the whole story. I think the history books will show 2-0 Furia against Heretics, and you kind of look at it and think, oh yeah, pretty much as expected. But Heretics have been far more apart. But they do look to get aggressive again and take the fight here to Heretics. They are not going to be cowed down by the rush coming in from Furia. They managed to get Oscar along the way, but otherwise it is 2 kills for the side of Heretics. Furia will not be stopped. Committed is the word, but they shouldn't. Skeptic, it's going to rack up the kills from the Goyo canisters, but it was the man on the hatch that was doing the damage.
And he knows the player's bottom main as well. Now just going to retreat back from that one as his nades come on through, trying to isolate the 1v1, but they ain't giving him nothing, Tim. Great discipline being shown. Surely he sees the pixel of the arm. We can see the outline, Tim. There you go, looking in for the one towards Moto, but no, making great use of the environmentals and his utility to try and isolate fights here, Tim. Almost wins out the one, but can't bring down both. Fantastic response from the other side there when 4 players exploding towards pool table. I thought, oh God, Tim, they're going down Moto. They're full sending it. But Oscar held them up for just long enough on that castle for Skeptic to get into a great spot to shut the whole thing down.
Just, you know, another great example of what Lax mentioned on the desk, and that is that Heretics are not scared here. They will not back down. They are happy to take the fights. The rush comes in. They'll 2v2, we'll fight you 2v2, and they came out on top. Really well done from Heretics to hold on in that one, 1-1, and it does just make us feel like, you know, I said coming into that round, Furia look great on Clubhouse. We know that they can win here. Heretics, they're certainly here to play still.
Is this here?
Yeah.
Oh, Skeptic was shooting at the Goyo just before he gets downed as well. Perfect timing. And honestly, we've said it a few times, and it feels so easy to repeat, but I am genuinely really impressed by Heretics. I can think of so many Tier 2 teams that would have showed up here and been terrified against the former world champions. They wouldn't play the way that Heretics are playing into Furia right now. They are taking the fight to them. They are being scared, and that is absolutely wonderful to see. I just worry that Furia have got so many of these ideas in mind, like we saw back in round 1, where they have that other gear they can kick into when it's required.
Attackers are heading out to the
Yeah, I love the mentality.
This is one hell of a stall up here.
Absolutely spot on. We've got multiple layers of Vulcan canisters there. Keep an eye on that second one. It's quite deep. My concern for the second Vulcan canister there is, like, kind of, I guess you activate it from the elbow, maybe, but I don't know if you're already in big trouble by the time that second one's getting shot out. There's not really too much of an option to get it from inside of sight. It could be difficult, especially if CCTV has been breached, which it's going to be immediately. So we'll see how that plays out. But overall, yeah, I like the setup. You know, certainly looking to hold on to Catwalk.
Shaving a little bit of fun with some artwork on the wall here as well. Of course, make sure they can definitely get inside with the one on the left, but the other 3, this gives you enough of a one-way angle that they'll really struggle to see you here unless they're crouching around that corner and you're already in a losing position there. I think you're seeing why you don't really tend to play mirrors on that wall, though it has been shot out. However, it is the head height Holton. That's maybe the key one for you to note here, is they can now use that on the defensive side to shoot and support their player inside of Garage.
Going to see the Selma charge being taken off, which is going to slow things down a little bit. I think they had wanted to try and work in from that jacuzzi wall, but he knows now that he's going to be matched up head-to-head with a few gunfights if he wants to try and take over there. Gubbit is inside of Jib. Ooh, going to take a lot of damage there as he just tries to move through that rotation. That leaves Oscar and Grubby both low health at the minute. That's not an ideal start for Heretics, but Lexi's still in position in the shower is an important one.
They just knew what to expect there. Hers was ready and waiting. They were so desperate to kill Nade. That at least frees him up now, but Flex is going to swing. Doesn't quite find his man. Nade down to 1 HP, and there's still Groovy here to support as well to the right-hand side. If they can kill him off here, that's Diffuser down in a bad spot, but Herds him. Hops inside construction window for the second time this game. Walks in towards site, murders everybody, and now it's got Yupa pinned down inside of site itself. And that's the end of the round, Tim. Furia yet again. Start slow, but when they say go, bloody hell do they put their foot to the floor.
That's it, it's just a swarm, isn't it? It's just like, you know, sort of angry bees just swarming all over you.
You scared of bees, Tim?
I'm not. I mean, I'm not. No, I'm not scared of you buzzing at me. That's not. You know, am I carefully cautious around animals or insects that can sting me?
I've definitely seen you.
Reasonably cautious.
I've seen you brick yourself when a wasp or a bee comes around.
No, I'm not having that. No, that's slanderous.
Others in the UK chat can definitely
I'm fairly chill. No. There are other talent members that are concerned about wasps. A story I'll tell you at another time.
All right.
No, I'm fairly chill around.
Can you use it with an anonymous name? What happened?
Demo was terrified of it.
All right, fair enough.
Sorry.
Full send for him, Tim. Very good. But yeah, a wonderful round. I said, like, yeah, Herd's been able to move his feet, but when he did move his feet and bolting through that window, he's already found himself 3 kills. And again, it's that reliance on your team to give you the right information, to tell you when is the appropriate time to go. Excellent stuff yet again. And Heretics, for the second time, I've watched Herds basically running towards site there and just completely overwhelm poor Yupa. That's the second time back in round 1. It was on the Goyo inside of site. I had no idea Herds was coming in behind him because he thought the extended hold had protected. And here, I don't think he quite realized just how close Herds really was. 2-1 to Furia. Great start on their attacks here. Back to gym and bedroom we go.
Okay then. See Furia could break it down again as well as they did last time. It was very much a problem for Heretics, kind of all over the map, really. There was the, challenge into CCTV that we would expect, but then there was pressure immediately through construction. They created a pinch really quickly. Just great stuff from Furia, and they're going to be looking for a little bit more. Interestingly, we do have Yupa on the Clash, though, on Garage Catwalk, so that's a problem that Furia need to figure out.
You've completely stole the words out of my mouth there, Tim. I was going to say the Clash is a great way to slow down this aggression from Furia. At the very least, it gives you, air quotes, safe information. Behind a shield, you can see what's coming. You can tell your team, okay, pressure's building up here. There's a player pushing in that way. I've slowed him down for you. Come and help me out. I've been saying all week, the real threat isn't really the Clash. It's the teammates that come around the Clash. And in this case, Tim, KZ is the real danger. Getting rid of Flex, you found the entry. So although it's a delayed trade, it's still a trade, Tim.
4 versus 4 as it's Flexi who gets taken down. The Tubarão is gone, so still level pegging. JV92 is looking, I think he wants to move in through CCTV as we saw last time, but he's just having to wait for the fire. As soon as the fire's gone, straight in, gets the kill onto Grubby. As you say, it's time for Clash to leave, and they will do that. Just going to plant that shield on the cash door so they can kind of continue fighting, but the nade will clear that out. And again, Furia, they just see the problems ahead of them, and they have all the answers.
Clash just feels like a turtle without a shell when she loses the shield, doesn't she? Yeah. Just running around with a piddly gun, just like, yeah, I can do this still, it's all good. It's painful to lose that shield as it would have stalled out a lot more time for them, but an excellent break of the extended hold so far by Furia. Now they know they've got this man advantage with half a round to work with. They haven't got to keep on pushing in this direction they don't want to, Tim. They can rotate away, then get back on the roof. They can look over towards Jacuzzi if so desired. They've got that Havana on side, although only 2 pellets left means they aren't going to be able to get that breach open up. So this does make things that little bit more tricky.
Just getting onto construction window now, and again, all this is about is just Nade cutting down the options for Heretics here, just limiting the ways that they can move around and that they can just sort of Furia start to lock them down inside a site, and that's exactly what we see in kind of the mobility from Heretics is all gone now. 45 seconds left to go. It's about Furia just getting into positions now to be able to challenge and take these gunfights. KZ, absolute beauty onto Oscar. The trade is there, doesn't matter. He will likely be left down because they know that they can just flood in, pick up the final man, and Furia really starting to hit the accelerator.
Another wonderful example of they can slow things down and then speed things back up. Like you ask most teams, like what kind of teams do you struggle with? The ones that go fast or the ones that play really slow? Let's listen to
We're actually playing very well. Right, we're getting the opening play every fucking round. Right, we're getting the opening pick and we're denying the wall like it's an open crowd play. Guys, see when that happens, ELC, fucking early loud and continuous for what we want to do. Do we want to play aggressive? Do we want to play game? Do we want G2? Do we want VP? Like what the fuck do we want to do? Because when we get that opening play, we don't communicate. We're not responding to one another, right? We have to fucking talk, right? What are we going to do when we get that fucking open kill? And that's the most important thing for me right now. Because right now when we get the open kill, we're not really talking to one another. What is the plan? Right, okay, we're falling back here, what we're doing here, we're hard zoning, that's what we're hard zoning. Like, talk to one another, right? And we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We will be fine. We will be fine.
Let's go, guys. Sorry, guys. Look at these last fucking defenses and attack with music.
Within the very, very thick Scottish accent, that is DMC, who's the coach of the boys on Heretics. I think his message was pretty loud and clear to me. He did use the whole 45 seconds to basically say, we aren't talking to each other. And they are playing well, Tim. As we said throughout Bank, as we've seen throughout this map, they do start strong. Flex is getting a good number of entries. They're being competitive early on, but the problem is then Furia slow things down. It makes it hard. Who Heretics are then ready to kind of go, okay, now what do we do next? Where do we go? Do we all fall back and stay together? Do we push and go more aggressive here? Furia just kind of let them have their moment in the sun and then go, cool, now we'll step up the heat. And as I was saying before we got into that attack timeout, if you ask teams, do you struggle more with slow teams or fast teams? The most when I've asked that question to them say, we struggle more with teams that can change between the two. They can alter the tempo mid-round. They can go slow, then they can be really, really fast, and they can slow things down again. You just don't know what to expect. And I think back to Wolves back in EUL, back in the day, they were an excellent team at being silent for half the round, then suddenly inside 10 seconds they've rushed you in, everybody's dead. Mogi was the spearhead for them. It was an absolute nightmare to deal with at the best of times, and I think you're seeing a little bit of that from Furia today, just being very unpredictable, and Heretics are struggling. They've lost 3 defenses now, and that is not a good start to Clubhouse, I'm afraid.
No, it's not ideal. The last place that you want to be on Clubhouse with Furia attacking in the first half is behind, because they've got that defense to go on to in the second, and they are going to be so difficult for Heretics to break down. I think part of the problem there as well, as you say, DMC saying, we're not talking, we're not communicating. As the desk have said throughout the day today, Heretics are a team built on intel and information. And if you start cutting that communication down, you're starting to lose one of your big strengths there. No, it's not kind of the droning intel from attack that you might get, but it's the, the default cams, the noise, the sounds of defense. We were talking to Doki yesterday. It was fascinating listening to him about what the players can pick up on defense just from sounds. I can hear 1 speeds running. So that tells me it's probably these all that information that's being missed if they're not communicating.
See the spot here where they've got themselves the entry once more. It's the Habana that falls down, and a lovely vault level hole to have to go and jump through here for the side of Furia. You do get locked into that animation, so angles can be held quite comfortably by Heretics onto it, knowing that Furia can't simply dip back out again once they've started that animation to climb on through. So looking good here, Tim. There's still a good amount of info. They've got one of those drones stolen away on the Mozzie, and of course have those black eyes. No IQ on the other side will mean that can be quite effective. Just about getting away with it though. Grubby gonna remove Nay. KZ in for 1, in for 2. Make it 3, Tim. They did all the hard work, and now suddenly we're down to a 2v2, and they've got to retake the site.
Philippox is putting the diffuser down as well. Big fight back needed from Heretics, and this is the problem playing against Furia. Manages to take down KZ, so it is all up to Philippox. He's going to go with the Reaper. He's on the Ying. He does have Candelas that he can play. He sends one of those in. That's going to give him a bit of an advantage at least. He's just trying to move around. He's right on top of that diffuser. The gunfights are going to have to come surely. No, he's got one more Candela on top of this, but he's got to win the fight first. Can't do it. Flexi manages to find his man, and Heretics fight their way back in just in time.
Outside of a slight moment of terror from KZ, 3 kills pushing in from blue. They managed to recover the round, and they'll be delighted about that one. Tim does show that they can do it, but that stark reminder that it can all end in an instant if they're not careful. KZ doing exactly what he did back at the start of Bank and just absolutely terrorizing them. However, they hold on, Tim. Cash EC going to be where they close out the half here in round 6. Let's see if they can get that 3-3 split.
It'd be a real turnaround for Heretics, to be fair, with the way that Furia are played. What a result that would be for them, because Furia on the attacks that they've won have quite frankly looked unbeatable, but Heretics are digging their heels in, and they're not giving anything away. Again, a lot of teams could have crumbled there. When KC gets that triple kill inside a start, diffuser goes down, you think, this one's probably over. But Heretics, they know that they can keep fighting to that very last second and get those rounds won, and certainly get their rewards for that one. So it's going to be the final defense now. They go to CCTV and Cash. And let's just have a look at the setup they've got. They've got the mirror again. It looks like the Jaeger for Skeptic is going to be towards holding Catwalk again. I think Upol will be the one playing there on the Clash, I would imagine, but we will see who actually finds themselves out there. And a very similar hold to Heretics, pretty much the same. Furia last time just The problem was that Furia didn't really play into the setup last time. They just recognised where the players were and went and took fights and killed them. So it didn't really matter what utility was there. They recognised that there was 3 over gym and bedroom side, so they just went in there and got gunfights.
Swapping match.
At least here showing themselves on the garage door to try and keep a little bit of attention over here from Yupa. Of course, the Clashing's over here. It isn't out towards gym and bedroom, which is where Furia found so much success last time around. But as you say, it's that same investment again in the garage hole. We've got the 3 ADSs down. We've got 2 Goyo canisters. We've got the Clash inside there, a mirror window that's been placed and opened up to give them a line of sight through. They're really going for it, and I would be very, very surprised if we see Furia trying to break this open, especially without that Capitao available to them.
Is he going to be opening stock door? That's going to prevent too much rotation or any sort of work in lounge as well, something that Heretics need to be aware of. You always like to have somebody underneath here or able to get underneath if possible for this sort of a defence. But so far so good. It's certainly better than last time they played this. They've got Grubby moving around underneath as well, actually. So, you know, by contrast, something Furia need to be aware of. Grubby has moved down there. Doesn't have any impact nades left. They are aware of it. KZ's going to pick him up.
Here he goes again.
That's why KZ was playing in through stock. He's just looking, KZ, at the minute to put himself in those difficult positions, isn't he? He wants to be the one that's going in there and just really asking questions of Heretics.
Ooh, they're forced for all the utility here as well, because there's now an air jab between Yupa. I was going to say, he had very little choice there. If he stays put, he probably gets nades tossed at him, so he's in a bit of a difficult spot to be in. And now there's all that utility on there that no one is currently available to shoot out. And Oscar, who was the closest to that mirror window that had been shot out to shoot them, has now been taken down too. So everything is working against them here. Almost too much of a reliance on utility for the side of Heretics.
This is what I said the last time they set this up. I was a little bit concerned about those Vulcan canisters and how do you detonate them, because as soon as the CCTV wall is breached, you can't play them from inside of there. You're reliant on the catwalk player, and as we saw, Furia dealt with that perfectly, but once again, Heretics are fighting back. Nade, he's going to look to put the diffuser down. Perfect opportunity, 1v3 for Leapox, finds him with the glass. It's going to be a 4-2 for Furia, and as they move on to the defense, Heretics have got their work cut out to keep themselves alive in the upper bracket.
It's like a mirror back into bank, Tim. This is how that first half went then too. Furia were up 4-2 on the attack. They moved on to the defense. My slight worry is Club is a more defender-sided map than Bank, and I think Furia are in a spot here where they know that they've really got Heretics on the rope. It's looking to be that 2-0. It would mean Furia go on to play Weibo in our 3rd game of the day, which will be a stellar game, by the way. Weibo, the best attacking team at the tournament so far. It's going to be explosive coming up against Furia if it goes this way. Heretics will drop down to play against OXG on Tuesday to fight for survival.
Yeah, they've been a lot of fun to watch of Way, but we're definitely looking. We're covering that game as well later, aren't we? We've got
Is it Tuesday? No, I think it's tomorrow. Actually, they play.
Weibo?
First round, the lower bracket is tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. Yeah. There's nobody goes home today. Yeah. We've got the we cover the Weibo game on game 3 later on today when we see the winner of this game take them on. Very much looking forward to that. They've been a pleasure to watch so far of Weibo. I hope they're watching what Furia are doing right now, because it looks like that's probably going to be the matchup, and Furia are not in the mood for playing games, I don't think.
Well, I was looking at it earlier when it came down to our map picks, and for these are like middle-of-the-road maps for Fury. Like, they could do without them, they can leave them as a decider. Given the choice, they wouldn't pick them as their go-to maps, and I think that's quite intentional by them. It's not disrespect to Heretics, because these are maps that Fury have played and are known to play, but I think they're keeping their stronger ones in the back pocket for when they need to fight off against a team like Weibo to make it to the main stage. It's a marathon rather than a sprint, Tim. You can't show all your cards in one go. And so I think you're going to see something a little bit different for them out of that veto phase later. However, that's assuming, of course, they get there. There is still every chance the Heretics can blow us away here on the attacking half and take us through to Chalet, which is our decider map.
Yeah, round 7, an important one, I think, here. You know, normally we look towards maybe a little bit later in the game, that kind of round 9. Particularly important here because we're going to see how Furia are defending and how Heretics go about breaking that down. Can they bring that intel game? They've got the Dokkaebi on side. Again, you know, going back to Fox's original point about how this team play, quite an advanced play style, an experienced play style of using all that intel. They've done well, given that they're not an experienced roster in terms of playing together to develop that, but they are going to get caught out this time. They might have the intel, but they don't have the shots as kills rain in for Furia. And this attack has fallen apart quickly, and that is not a good signal for Heretics in the beginning of this one.
Finding yourself completely concussed here. And I mean by the bullets, the gadget just helped at that point as well. JV with the close. Nice idea, I think, from Heretics. They were trying to push into 3 or 4 places at once. Front door, kitchen, and in towards stock. We've seen Furia do exactly the same throughout the entirety of the first half with how they try and flood certain rooms of the map and just overwhelm their opponents. Furia, though, it's Furia, Tim. You're going to struggle to overwhelm them when they've seen and experienced all there is to experience throughout Siege's history. And they dealt with that very, very handily. And again, I'll come back to a point I made back on Bank. Just because an idea doesn't work out, it doesn't mean it was a bad idea. You just list out in the execution there and you lost all your gunfights. It's going to happen.
It is. It is. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned now. I think Furia probably, have a real opportunity to just run away with this one. And yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Heretics, though, they have shown us time and time again that they are able to overturn expectations, that they are able to win the rounds that should be unwinnable for them. I think they're going to need to do that a couple of times in this one at least. They will this time be attacking onto CCTV and Cash. We're going to be looking towards Garage Catwalk to see how Furia go about dealing with this. I think it's literally going to be JV92 on the Azame, taking the gunfights and holding on to it behind the Keeper barricades. He's got some barbed wire out there as well just to prevent a push upstairs. But looking at what Heretics have brought along, I don't know how they really deal with that Catwalk. They've got 2 nades and they've got the Candelas. They're probably your best chances if you're wanting to go in there and actually take that area. Maybe they play to, work from the other side instead.
Sure, you don't see Casey jump out here and try and go on to Garubi. I mean, to be fair to Garubi, he's moved on towards the top side of the platform here, so they can't find him so easy. But Casey, I think, is really fancying something. Have to impact this and jump out. Order spray. Hopes the very best to try and get rid of the Zofia, but no joy in that one. Uper lives to fight another day.
Just seeing the Echo drones inside a site there. Going to be a little bit of support for JV from one of those Echo drones as well. I think, maybe obviously a thought always towards denial of a plant towards the end of the round, but also a good counter should that Monty be brought along. It's a good opportunity to get the shield break or any others trying to bully JV up on the catwalk. He's just deploying those Keeper barricades slowly and keeping himself mobile to challenge onto door, but the first clash is likely to come around this main door, I think, although we hear the Candelas pushing in, the flashes come along with it. It's pressure towards JV92 is the aim. Are they able to get the kill? No, this is what I said. I just didn't feel that they had enough utility to push him out of there. We know that JV is fantastic at holding down this location. Without the Wamai, without the Jaeger, he will just lock himself in there and get mobile. Hurts manages to get Grubby. It's a flawless round. Exactly that. Furia, a little bit too easy from them. 6-2 and cruising towards a 2-map win.
Building a whole fort for himself up there on that catwalk, and it was one that Heretics could just not breach the front gates of. Very, very decisive, and I think, like you, Tim, it's quite clear to see which way this game is going, unfortunately, for Heretics. I still believe that they've got a good attack in them. The problem is Furia have got very many, very, very good defenses in them that's making it hard to get anything away.
We always used to say, it was kind of like a rite of passage to have Nesk run over you on LAN. And, obviously Nesk isn't here this time, and I think that baton is going to have to pass now to the rite of passage is having Furia run over you on LAN.
I just saw one of the players on the side of Furia pop in the chat saying you don't play Igual scrims, which only means you don't play scrims against Brazilians, therefore you have absolutely no idea what it is that you're getting hit by right now, because it is stinging them. Let's see if they can recover those set at Isham and Bedroom by the looks of it. Ney going on towards that clash, I would expect, and it pretty much is confirmed from what you can see on your screen that we're going to have the extended hold out towards Cash and CC. It is a staple of this site. I actually can't think of the last time I've seen this site defended, Tim, where we haven't had an extension in towards Cash and CC.
Yeah, it doesn't really exist anymore, does it? You kind of look at the top floor as it's almost one big site. Yeah. Even when you play Cash and CC, you have the extension out towards Master Bedroom, and we very rarely see one without the other. Beautiful start from KC. Well, it's as easy as that. Skeptic looked like he was checking that angle, to be honest with you, but this is what you're playing against, Des.
I think they're just getting warmed up for that Weibo game, Tim. They're playing against the same kind of aggression later. It's definitely a good way to get yourself warmed up and ready for it. KZ is down though. Skeptic is also offline, as you saw earlier on, and that's only inside the first 30 seconds, Tim.
It's losing that Grim. You don't get to, we say it all the time, you don't get to choose your opening pick. If you did get to choose, you'd have one of the hard breaches or you'd have the Grim. Grim being the one. Heretics have used Grim more than anybody else at this tournament, and so taking him away, that's going to remove a lot of their intel and a lot of their ability to opportunity spot and prevent you moving back into space that they've claimed. So Furia, it's a great start for them.
It is. It's absolutely wonderful. You know, as an operator, Grim have already spoken about the second highest picks at the tournament so far with a fantastic attacking win rate. Isn't quite the same something like a Dockerby in terms of how it works out, but of course it should flood a room and prevent defenders moving into it. If they stay there, they're dead to rights because you have a constant real-time ping on where they are inside of that space. With 5 of those to drop down, it's fair to say Grim can take over a good chunk of anywhere surrounding a would-be execute or room that you want to get control of. So, as things carry on forward here, down to halfway point in the round, and Heretics at least feel they've got the control they need on Cash and CC, which they do, to start being able to challenge onto these balcony windows. But we've got 2 players from Furia now holding up inside a construction, Tim. They've fallen back from the first defense point, they're at the second, and they've still got the site.
Yeah, they're making it very difficult for Oscar to be able to move forward here. Keeper barricades continue to be deployed by Hertz. He has taken quite a lot of damage though, so that is one concern for Furia at least. Nade goes in, forces the player away from
that's criminal.
Spot behind bed. It's Philippox manages to get away with it, and they get very little done there on the back of it. It was a great nade from Heretics, but Furia again just showing great movement.
Oh, nice! Grubby getting rid of at least Hertz on the flank. That could have been disastrous because there were 2 players on that balcony, him and Yupa. If Hertz gets out there with a great pre-fire, could potentially have killed 2 and ended this game here and now, but he has been dealt with. Now we've got a 3 versus 3. Flexi joining for the attack as well, as you can see, in towards construction. So the next hurdle has been removed. Now you've got a clash on site to get rid of Tim.
Yupa has taken a lot of damage there on the window from an aggressive Philippox who was holding that angle with the frost. They know that the push is coming into logistics. JV does get Flexi. Grubby, however, finds one of his own onto Nade. That's the clash gone. JV taking a lot of damage. Him and Philippox have been forced right back now. It is 2 versus 2. 15 seconds left to go. Yupo just trying to bait out a little bit of movement with that attempt at a plant, but it doesn't work. Grubby gets 1. Can he make it 4 for the round?
Needs to get rid of the 1 here as well, but no, Philippox. It's that man again. We spoke about him a lot today, Tim. You can ban him out, but you cannot stop his impact in these games. Furia with a comfortable 2-0. They move on to face Weibo later today.
You can ban the operators, Des, but you cannot ban the brain. That is the reality. Heretics just finding themselves outgunned a little bit against Furia there, but there is no shame in that. Many that have come before you have also found the same. A great performance from them. They will now drop down into that lower bracket match against OXG. That will be played, I think it's tomorrow. That will be for their survival in the tournament. Furia, they move on in the upper bracket and now play for a spot on the main stage later today against Weibo.
I said on social media between maps that it feels like the scoreline has done Heretics a disservice. I think they can do it against OXG, but of course we'll find out what that looks like tomorrow